Mr. Chairman, I know you've got a lot on your agenda to discuss tonight, but I did want to take the opportunity to provide some additional supporting data for you to have under your belt when considering second reading and public hearing. A couple things I'll say about the Pennies for Progress program before we get started in the presentation itself. The third Pennies for Progress program does have some law changes that have been enacted that provide some additional flexibilities in the law, but at the same time they also provide additional ties. The first and foremost is the program does allow you to run for 2, 4, 6, or 8 years. However, there is a caveat in there that says if you are a county that is reimposing the tax, which is what York County is doing, having the program continue without interruption, you can only run for a maximum of 7 years. So this particular program will run for the maximum 7-year period. Secondly, the law did also eliminate or make groceries exempt from the sales tax program. And the reason I bring that up and the reason that's important is because there really are not any detailed studies of what percentages groceries apply to sales tax in our area. So it is really a shot in the dark almost to find out what kind of revenues we may see out of a 7-year tax without groceries associated. Now, certainly we've done some looking around throughout the country and gotten some averages to pan that out. So $161 million is what we are doing, what we're estimating, what the Sales Tax Commission has presented to you as the revenues over that 7-year period. I want to be very clear that is a new wrinkle that has created a new unknown for the programs. 161 we feel fairly comfortable with, but we did want to bring that to your attention. With that, I'll proceed with the presentation real quick. Really what we're here to discuss tonight is a third program good for York County? Well, you know me, I'm kind of simple, so I broke it down into 3 simple questions. Has the program been successful for the citizens of York County? Have the previous 2 programs met all of our transportation needs? And then depending on what the answer to those 2 questions are, what projects would we need to consider if we wanted to continue? We'll look at the success rate for the citizens of York County first. I want everybody to take just a couple of minutes from a physical standpoint, a visionary standpoint. What would it be like today had the Pennies for Progress not taken care of Hurlong Avenue in front of one of the most important medical hubs we have in York County? Can you imagine a 2-lane road in front of the hospital? Can you imagine if we still had one of the most deadly roads in the state of South Carolina in Highway 5 West and not a 4-lane divided highway? Can you imagine what Highway 160 would look like today as a 2-lane roadway? And what kind of investments would or would not have occurred had that 5-lane not been there? I'm also very simple in the fact that I have to see it on the map. So let's take a look at that real quick. In 1996, before the sales tax program became an initiative, York County had about 4 highway projects scheduled for the next 20 years. About, just estimating in today's dollars, about $20 million worth of projects. Well, at that time, as you know, York County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state. We're actually growing at a rate almost double what the U.S. rate was. We only had those 4 projects. In comes the sales tax program, 1997 into 2003, and now all of a sudden we have over $500 million worth of road improvements as a direct result of those 2 programs. And as you can see, we have basically covered the entire county with road improvements. Vast improvement and change over the 4 projects we had scheduled for a 20-year period. Let's talk about it in a little bit more detail. We'll get down to the nuts and bolts, the money itself. The 1997 and 2003 programs caused over $500 million worth of road improvements to either be done or be on the core of the schedule to be done. $500 million. Of that $500 million, those 2 programs, York County residents only funded 37% of those improvements. And that's because the sales tax itself is not just paid by York County citizens. It's also paid by people who are going through and people who don't live here, just traveling through. In addition to that, we were also able to get state infrastructure bank money, federal money, and other state money to come into play as well. Bottom line, kind of simple for me because I work for the county and I don't make a lot of money. For every dollar that the citizens of York County brought to the table through this program, over $2.69 was spent on, $2.69 was spent on the roads themselves. I went to my local bank and asked, could I get that return on my checking account? And they said, heck no. So has the program been a success for York County? I think the answer to that, based on those three just general overviews, is yes. Those things do not take into consideration, by the way, the things that we could get out there and start looking at as far as investment, growth that happened, and byproducts of those sales tax programs. Have the two previous programs met all of our transportation needs? Certainly $500 million worth of roads improvements would make a good dent in it, but it doesn't take care of all of them. As a matter of fact, before you even start looking at future needs, there are 2003, the second sales tax program, there will be some projects that will not be funded because of shortfalls. Now, we've whittled that down, we've gotten it down to what we feel like is the bare minimum, but each one of those roads will be carried over as an additional need, which the Sales Tax Commission has considered. Obviously, we still have congestion. This is a common picture you've all seen. This is Highway 160. This is not 5 o'clock, y'all. This is 10 o'clock in the morning. It's not even peak hour for lunch. We all know that the I-77 backups have been killing us, and what happens to our surrounding roadways when something happens on the interstate. And then obviously we've got computer models that are able to tell us where those congestion points are, and we still have that. South Carolina, still the 6th most deadly roadway system in the nation. Every one of those pictures you saw pop up were taken right here in York County. As a matter of fact, just taking a real quick snapshot, 18-month vehicle accident rate. Every one of those red crosses you see up there represented a motor vehicle accident which had a fatality in an 18-month period. Only 18 months. That's unacceptable. We take all of that data, the computer data, the motor vehicle accidents, the projects we have on the list, and all of the corresponding data, and we go out and the commission decided to go out into the public and actually get their input. That commission held 13 public meetings throughout the county, and basically at each and every one of those meetings at different venues in the county, they said, you're the ones that have to drive in this area. You're the ones that have to drive these roads every day, not us. What do you think the needs are? And a combination of that, the DOT, municipalities, schools, universities, and so on, created a mass list of what they felt like we needed in road improvements. That interpreted to over $1 billion in legitimate roadway concerns and requests. So you have to go back and ask yourself, have we met all the transportation needs? And the answer is obviously no, with $1 billion still out there of legitimate needs. So what projects do we need to consider? Very quickly, I'm not going to talk about all of them. There's too many to discuss, but I will hit some of the highlights real quick for the Fort Mill area. 2151, 2-lane road, over almost 35,000 vehicles a day. We're very excited about this project, Gold Hill Road and I-77 interchange. Major interchange with over 19,000 vehicles a day. Do some improvements there. And then, of course, Highway 160 from Gold Hill Road to the North Carolina State Line, 10,600 vehicles a day. I'll also say that we have been in talks with North Carolina DOT about doing their section of 160 if we're able to do ours. Total of the impact in that area, almost 65,000 vehicles. Rockville area, again, just picking some sample projects. Cell River Road, 7,200 vehicles from a 2 to a 5-lane road. US 21 Anderson, Maine, Cowan Farm. I want to talk about that one very quickly. That's a very dangerous intersection with a lot of merging conditions. Over 14,000 cars a day. Recently, in a very short period of time, there was 3 fatalities at that intersection, so certainly one we need to look at. And then White Street, Constitution, Columbia, some intersection improvements, almost 13,000 cars a day as well. Moving over to the York area, York was very clear to us that Sutton Springs Road was their #1 project. Not only do we have a winding, narrow road that basically feeds the entire western part of the county over to Highway 5 and the bypass, but it also now serves as the main corridor to the new high school. We have US 321 Johnson Road down by, I believe it's Meritor. We've had some truck traffic issues through there and some very dangerous intersections we'd like to clean up. And then 49 Lincoln Road, that's another merging intersection just down here at the end of Congress Street near Kings Mountain. All of our high school traffic now travels through that from the high school back over to the junior high, and we would like to clean that up as well. Clover area, real quick, Perrin Road, winding 2-lane country road, making a major connection between Clover and Rock Hill. A little over 3,000 vehicles a day. New 2-lane road connector from 321 to Westgate Industrial Park. This one will cut down on truck traffic through neighborhoods, subdivision streets, and downtown Clover clogging up traffic. And then Griggs Road, 557 Fay Hardy, a very dangerous intersection right next to the elementary school. Last but not least, the Lake Raleigh area. I'm going to start with 557 first. 14,850 vehicles a day. We want to look at that for a multi-lane. And then 49 in Campbell is a very dangerous, skewed intersection with over 8,000 vehicles a day. And then last but not least, the 274 Pole Branch Road, 11,600 vehicles a day. We're looking to go to a 5-lane section on that. The reason I want to mention that very quickly is, of course, you've all heard the Garden Parkway, a major toll interstate design road. It will run from 485 in the Charlotte Douglas International Airport over to 85 and create a bypass around Gastonia. Basically, what that will provide is a means for folks who live in York County to be at the York County, to the Charlotte International Airport or the 485 in 10 to 15 minutes. Huge, huge opportunities for us. So we would also tie into that. We've also been in talks with the Regional Roads Committee and other counties in the state of North Carolina about doing a tie into that and extending that project up to the Garden Parkway itself. All of that total, about 198,000 vehicles a day, will benefit from just the projects we showed you. And again, that's not all of them, those are just highlights. Real quick, this is a listing of the projects. You'll find this on our webpage, www.penniesforcarglass.net. This is just basically to draw some attention to the fact that we're putting about $9.5 million worth of additional money in there for continuing our gravel road program throughout the county and getting the people out of the dust. Again, I know you've got a lot on your plate tonight. I've covered some very quick topics. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to